When you think back on the things you're genuinely proud of learning, were they ever easy? Probably not. Today, we're going to talk about something that sounds a little weird: productive struggle. We're going to make the case that the real, lasting joy in learning doesn't come from ease. It comes from the effort.
I mean, picture a modern classroom. You've probably seen it. Everything's bright, colorful, and just smooth. Like the quote says, it's carefully padded against discomfort. The goal seems to be making everything totally frictionless. We want constant engagement, happy faces. But is that really the same thing as learning?
And yeah, this is the picture we're sold. This is what joyful learning is supposed to look like. But what if it's not? What if that deep, satisfying feeling of getting it, really getting it, doesn't come from avoiding the hard stuff, but from wrestling with it and winning? What if we've been chasing the wrong kind of joy all along? Okay, so let's dig into that. Let's start by looking at what this idea of joy has become. Because somewhere along the way, the pursuit of happiness and learning kind of morphed into a performance of joy, a simulation that might actually be getting in the way of the real thing. Now, I want to be super clear here. The argument isn't against joy. Not at all. That aha moment, that electric feeling when a tough concept finally clicks, that's the good stuff. That's what we're all after. The problem isn't joy itself. It's what we've done to it. We've kind of swapped out the real, earned feeling for a cheap, hollow version. So how did we get here? Well, we started by moving away from those old-school, rigid, fear-based classrooms. And that was a fantastic change. But then something subtle happened. Joy stopped being the outcome of hard work and became a prerequisite for it. The thinking shifted to, well, if it doesn't look fun and happy, then learning can't be happening. And that's what led us to where we are today, with constant gamification and a need for visible pats on the back. So what's the big deal? What's the consequence of all this performing? Well, it leads to what you might call learning's empty rituals. We've started to confuse the feeling of ease with actual deep understanding. And those two things, they are not the same. And this really breaks it down. On one hand, you've got performative joy. It's immediate, it's effortless. It's all about those external rewards, the points, the badges. It makes you dependent on that next little hit of affirmation. But on the other hand, you have honest joy. It shows up late to the party. You have to earn it. But when it arrives, it brings deep understanding and builds real, lasting resilience. If you take away one thing, let it be this right here. You know that feeling of being confused, a little irritated, maybe even doubting yourself? That's not you failing. As the quote says, that is learning doing its work. That's your brain on the verge of building a new connection. And when we design systems to erase that feeling, we aren't helping. We're just making the learning shallow. And look, this isn't just some philosophical idea. There's real cognitive science behind this. Let's get into the science of struggle, because there's a biological reason your brain actually needs that effort to build strong, durable memories. The technical term for it is productive struggle. Think of it like a Goldilocks zone for your brain. It's not so easy that you're bored, and not so hard that you give up. It's that sweet spot where you're challenged just enough that you have to really grapple with an idea, make a few mistakes, and rethink your approach. That grappling, that's the process. Think about something as basic as a flashcard. It's the perfect example. So, step 1, you see the prompt. And then comes step 2, the magic part. You hesitate. You struggle for a second to pull that answer out of your brain. That effort, that strain, that is what strengthens the neural pathway. When you finally retrieve it, the connection is stronger. Without that little bit of struggle, the memory is just weaker. Okay, so we've established it. Struggle is good. Struggle is essential. But this brings us to a huge modern paradox. What happens when we introduce all this amazing technology that is literally designed to eliminate friction? Let's talk about the false promise of tech and how it can actually make this whole problem worse. And let's be fair. The sales pitch for EdTech and AI is incredible, isn't it? Personalization for every single person, engagement that never stops, access to information like never before. It sounds like the perfect solution. Who could argue with that? Well, here's the reality. A lot of these tools are programmed to get rid of struggle. They optimize for stuff they can measure, like clicks and time on screen. And they often mistake a moment of confusion for disengagement. So what do? They jump in with a hint or just give the answer, completely short-circuiting the very process of thinking that leads to real learning. And this quote, man, it just nails the danger, especially with AI. The risk isn't that these tools will be bad at teaching. The risk is that they will be too good at making learning feel easy and satisfying. You can walk away feeling like you've accomplished a ton, when in reality, the learning is incredibly shallow. You get the illusion of mastery without any of the substance.
So, where do we go from here? Does this mean all tech is bad? No, of course not, but it does mean we need to aim for a different kind of joy. So, for this last section, let's talk about what it would take to make learning honest again.
First things first, we just have to normalize struggle. We have to reframe it. That feeling of confusion isn't a red flag, it's a sign of progress. Think of it like working out a muscle at the gym. That strain is literally the feeling of getting stronger. Second, we need to permit silence. We have to be okay with it. Our brains are just constantly buzzing with notifications and distractions. Deep thinking, real consolidation of ideas, it requires some quiet. It needs space to breathe, free from constant pings and interruptions. And this one's huge. We have to examine our errors. A mistake isn't just something to be corrected and deleted. No, a mistake is data. It's a clue. It points you directly to the gap in your understanding. That's where the real growth happens, right in the heart of the error.
And finally, all of this, it boils down to trust. We have to trust learners to be able to handle difficulty. We have to stop trying to build bridges over every single challenge and instead trust that they are capable of doing the hard work to cross it themselves.
So when you boil it all down, the goal isn't really to make learning happier. It's to make it honest again. It's about being willing to trade that cheap, fleeting satisfaction of an easy answer for the deep, profound, and lasting joy that only comes from a genuine, productive struggle. That, right there, is the joy that's actually worth chasing.